All right. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, we are on
President, are we
now.
good?
I've, yeah, we're good. All right. Good evening, everybody.
Okay.
I was trying to fix one or two gadgets so I can begin to record this session. So we are live and we are starting now. Just about 8:20. First and foremost, I would like to welcome everyone that has taken out his time to join us this evening. Like we said and we've been saying, information is power. I've always told people that everything that we are is a function of what we know. And the vision and the purpose of this meeting is to create more awareness concerning this industry that is so lucrative, but most people usually have myths and a lot of misunderstandings about. Um, Before I go on to continue, I'd like us to just say a very short prayer. So if there's anybody in the house that is interested, um, you can just go ahead and unmute. Okay, let me just call on someone. We have Festus Agbona with us. He's a man of God, he's a pastor. So Festus, just unmute yourself, say a short prayer before I continue. Okay, Festus is, I think he's now on now. So I'll just say a prayer and then we'll continue because of time. Father, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for how far you've brought us. We thank you for the purpose for which you have called this will be brought to bear. Even as we start, we ask that you start with us, we help us to be adept, precise, and then help us to use this medium to reach out to those whose destinies and lives are tied to what we are about to do and what we're about to run with. And at the end of the day, all glory and honor will be unto your name. Amen. Amen. So, you're welcome once again to this meeting. I'll try to do a very quick one. First and foremost, I am the president of Global Progressive Youth Association, and the association is an association that has been in existence for the past 11 years. Just last year, I was handed over to as the president, and we decided not to just go ahead and do programs. Now, if you know the antecedents and the history of UPYA, you know that UPYA is a very active organization. We've been into youth empowerment for over 10 years, and I don't mean just youth empowerment, active youth empowerment. We started with trainings, leadership trainings, computer trainings back then in 2012, 2013, where computer knowledge was still not as rampant. We didn't even have Android phones as at the time. We had begun to teach people about computer. We had compulsory leadership courses. We went into skill acquisition, and most of the things that we do, if you don't know about OPIA, we've done for free, almost free of charge. We began to partner with different organizations to provide skills. The reason is because we believe that the world, as we know it, is going towards what you can actually do and beyond just the certificates that we have or that we graduate from school with. Many of us today, many of the celebrities and people that are celebrated today in their different fields are not celebrated because they have certificates in those fields. I'm talking about those that have certificates in the field that they are majoring on now, and those that don't have. They are celebrated because they are pros, because of their ability, because of what my former president would call certificate and not certificate, meaning what you sabi do. Let me speak our colloquial, what you can do. So the vision we began to run with this vision because we came to realize that the world is going towards skills, what you can do. And so we began to empower youths, hundreds of youths in areas of skill acquisition, bulldozer equipment, fashion designing, catering, and so many skills. We developed from that into a whole lot of things. We partnered with so many organizations, and then we had other programs. We have our Catch Them Young program where we go out there to speak to secondary schools, and we've done a whole lot. So when you go to our website and you go to our Facebook page, you see a whole lot about us. We have a program we call the UPYA Mobile Empowerment Train. By the grace of God, we have a mobile empowerment train. What we do is we go from community or area to area. The train anchors there, and then within the space of about a week or 2 weeks, we provide skills in at least 8 to 14 different kind of skills: barbing, computer, ICT training, web designing, phone repairs, fashion designing, catering, quick skills, soap making, and a whole lot of that. But then fast forward to 2021, when I was made the president, one of the visions of this new dispensation of UPYA is to now take our skill acquisition to another level. One of the things that I told myself is that I want to empower youths in our climb, not just robo youths. I will come to that. In skills that will make them millionaires, skills that will be relevant in the next 5, 10, 20 years. And I believe that the aviation industry is an industry that is one of the industries that has grown fastest in the world. If you go through the history of the aviation industry, and there's still a whole lot to be harnessed in this industry, and it's a very high-paying industry. We are looking at also empowering our youth in digital skills like artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain technology. The reason is that we don't just want to, we'll still do the ones we have been doing, but we want to empower people with skills or guide them in directions that will be relevant to them in the next 5, 10, 20 years. That's one of the reasons why we have set up this program. And believe you me, those who would partake of what we want to do today, which I know that it's not just about what we're doing today, is going to bring a whole lot of value. I can assure you that. I've seen the slides. I know the pedigree of K Global, and I trust that we are all going to, in fact, I myself am prepped up to learn and gather a lot of value. Also, we are not going to give out everything, because we have realized that people don't value what is free. So we are also going to have another training. It's going to be a master class. In that master class, it's going to be paid and it's going to be streamlined to your own area of interest. Through this training we're going to have this evening, you are going to know about the different opportunities in the aviation sector. I'm an air traffic controller by the grace of God. There's a whole lot. So in the master class, if you're interested in being an air traffic controller, if you're interested in being a pilot, a cabin crew, I was saying on during when we're advertising that those cabin crew, those air hostesses, some of them earn in Nigeria between 500 to a million, for the different, depending on if you are doing private or commercial. And I have a friend who earned about 6 million during the last Hajj. Then back in 2018, I was still in Abuja then, just within the space of 2 weeks, And you just look at them and think they are just all about putting on fine dresses and wearing makeup. No, they are professionals. Those ladies are trained to be your first, in case of any emergency, they are the first to initiate any rescue plan, what we call rescue services. So they are professionals, they are trained, and there's a whole lot that we're going to gain. So through this training, we are going to also bring out something. And then, like I said, and I think K Global will emphasize on that, we're going to select those who are going to be mentoring, we're going to guide, we're going to also source for scholarship opportunities for them, and then sponsor their trainings. in their chosen fields. So I want to welcome you all again to this auspicious meeting. I trust that we're going to have a great time together. And then I also want to encourage us to ask questions. Ask questions. This is an introductory lecture. It's a general one. Your questions will help us to clear those gray areas. So, welcome once again. I'm going to go mute for the now, and then I welcome K Global to continue from here so that we don't spend too much time. God bless you all. You're welcome once again. My name is Prince Ogegere, and I'll see you at the end of the lecture.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Prince Ogegere. Thank you for the prep talk. That was profound. Okay, so straight into today's business. Welcome to UPYA Free Aviation Awareness. I'm Kate Noel, and this session would most likely be ending by 10, but we hope to finish before then, and so that we'll have room for questions. So I would urge you to please, you could just get your pen, your paper, you could just get things that are amazing and you love to note them down. Okay, so straight into today's business. Okay, so we're going to be talking about introduction to aviation. We're going to talk about brief history of aviation, international and national bodies in aviation, and careers in aviation. So first, it's important you get to know what aviation is and how come, what is the history line of aviation. It will make us appreciate the industry itself. If you don't know how the purpose of a thing, and you say is if the purpose of a thing is not known, you say abuse is inevitable. So if you don't even know why and how aviation even came about, what's the point going into the industry? You don't even know the history of. So it's very important. History is so important to our present time. Then we're going to talk about international and national bodies of aviation, the regulatory bodies, like in football, we have the FIFA, we have the CAF. Without those bodies, you won't have those competitions. So also in the aviation industry, it's a global industry and it is well and heavily regulated. So have strong international and national bodies playing in the industry. And also the careers in aviation. So just going to highlight some careers in aviation, and most likely you get to know careers you've not even heard about. And maybe the ones you've heard about will just highlight what it is. So like our president of UPYA said, that it's from this point you get to know what interests you. You might have had careers that interest you before, but funny enough, you might just get to see other careers and be like, okay, I'm interested in this also. It could be an alternative. Okay, so you can also have an alternative. And in the master class, we'll now deal specifically in details with those careers and what all you need to know about them. Okay, so introduction to aviation. So in this outline, we'll be talking about what aviation is, the two main categories of aviation, and two main types of commercial aviation. So what is aviation? So from what is written here, we said in simple terms, it means air transportation or transportation by air. Simple as we have different means of transportation. We have transportation by land, we have transportation by sea, and we have transportation by rail, which is also on land, but we also have transportation by air. And amazingly, aviation is said to be the safest while fastest means of transportation in the world. So far on planet Earth, it is the safest in context of speed. It is the safest means of transportation. Transporting when you take years and lots of time to get to your destination, whereby you can get faster and even safer. So that's why aviation is a big, big industry, and the future is still so bright. We are still so early in the aviation industry. We are still early, very early in the aviation industry. So also a more scientific definition states that aviation is the practical aspect or art of aeronautics, being the design, development, product, and use of aircraft, especially heavier than air. So it's the same definition, just in a more scientific approach. So the first one was a layman's understanding, but this is what aviation is. It's just the practical aspect or art of aeronautics. And what is aeronautic? Navigation by air, being the design, development, product, and aircraft, especially heavier than air. So we have what we call lighter than air aircraft, lighter than air crafts. Okay, so lighter than air, crafts, not aircrafts. So when it comes to aviation, we focus more on heavier than air, because you need something, whatever you are going to use to transport people or goods will surely be heavier than air. Okay, in weight. So that's what we focus on in aviation. So the word aviation was coined by a French writer and former naval officer, Gabriel Lalandel, in 1863, from the verb aviare, means flying. The word aviare was derived from the Latin word avis, which means bird. Later, the word Asian was added as suffix to coin the word aviation. So, aviation has never been in the time of the Bible, neither has it been in the time of Moses, which is also in the time of the Bible. So, all through the time of the Bible, before Christ, and the New Testament, there's nothing like aviation. Okay, so there's nothing like aviation. But the word aviation came about in the year 1863. A writer and a former naval officer. So we have two main categories of aviation, which is the second point in our intro. And the two main categories of aviation is, we have the military aviation and the civil aviation. So when we're talking about aviation, it's broadly divided into these two major things: military or civil aviation. So it's either you're part of the military aviation or you're part of the civil aviation. So for military aviation, it's the use of military aircraft for conducting aerial warfare, airlifting of cargo for armed forces stationed far away, which could be even at country borders. So military aviation, just basically from what is stated here, the use of military aircraft for conducting aerial warfare, for airlifting of cargo for armed forces stationed far away. So just like there's a war in another country, in another location, and you need to also, airlift even other aircrafts. You could airlift aircraft, airlift anything. You could airlift goods, you could airlift weapons, you could airlift soldiers itself. So that is what military aviation is about. Also for air battles, I'm sure most of us the recent movie Maverick City by Tom Cruise, and you would see a real first-hand movie on military aviation. So that's just what military aviation is all about. So we also have the civil aviation. The civil aviation is the use of non-military aircraft, which includes private aviation and commercial aviation. So, funny enough, this place, even to some aviators, they usually miss this up. There's what we call private aviation, and there's what we call commercial aviation. And all these surmounts together to form the civil aviation, as long as it is not used for any military operation, makes it civil aviation. So that's what civil aviation is. So let's go into private aviation, and with this, at the end of this, I believe I'll be able to enlighten you on what private aviation really means. So private aviation is the part of civil aviation that does not include flying for hire or commercial purposes. So every form of aviation, every form of flying that does not that is not for hire, or neither is it for commercial purpose, is called private aviation. So as long as nobody is paying anybody, as long as the pilot is not paid, and the aircraft expenses are not on, they are not on passengers, they are called private aviation. This is actually a kind of aviation that is flown for enjoyment, literally. So I'm using the word enjoyment literally, or to share joy with friends. So amazingly, this is so much in the US, in South Africa, a lot than in Nigeria here. In the US, especially places like Florida, which is one of the earliest places of aviation in aviation history, places like Canada, you find out that this is seen more often. There's a village, I can't remember the country now, but there's a video I watched some 2 years back. There's an aviation village, and people actually don't drive cars. People actually have aircrafts like this on the screen as their cars. So what they are most of the time. So in that village, you have buildings, and in quotes, where should be your car park is like your mini hangar. What's a hangar? An hangar is a place, HANGAR, is a place where you park aircrafts. Okay, so you see people park small aircrafts like this in their houses. So in that village, it's more like an estate. The express or the highway or whatever it is called, the road, is actually like a taxiway for those aircraft. So people just drive out the code. Let me use the word drive out their aircraft, and you see your neighbor drive out the aircraft, they move and take off. So that's how they live in that village, and that's a typical example of an application of private aviation. And it's also a dream I hope to see one day and someday in Nigeria. So this, I also have friends. Some of my friends in Philadelphia, there's this friend of mine. The person she stays with has an aircraft, and just weekends they just fly. She does not have any piloting experience, but she gets the opportunity to just control the aircraft while air, and because it's private aviation, it's just fun. It's just to enjoy good times. So that's just what private aviation is. And I would say again that private aviation, it is very less regulated. Okay, so it is less regulated. There's no much regulations. In fact, you can go ahead and kill yourself. Nobody cares. So nobody cares when it comes to private aviation. It's just like you having your car, and it's not even as regulated as the road business per se, because there are a few persons who still do private aviation. But obviously, you still have your private pilot license, but what you just do is just for fun. So nobody checks, no regulatory body checks if your aircraft is airworthy or if it's not airworthy. You can just go ahead and have fun, but strictly only your family and friends. You are not supposed to carry other people on board. Okay, so like stated here, the purpose of a flight is what determines if it's private or not. Not because someone runs and uses a private jet. So using a private jet doesn't mean it's private aviation. No. Private jets are actually commercial aviation also. So the purpose of a flight, as far as money is not involved in the sense of nobody's paying anybody for transportation, that's what makes it private aviation. Okay. So we have two main types of commercial aviation. Now, this is another high point for introduction to aviation. And in this two types, we have the general aviation and the scheduled airline. For the general aviation, this is one of my earnest prayer for Nigeria, for Nigeria to come and accept fully the general aviation, because the general aviation is more like the most widened aspect of aviation. It is so wide that you really can't run out of general aviation. And with general aviation, there will be crazy demand for jobs, professionals. There will be so much demand for professionals, so they will need more hands. And that's why you see places like Canada, in particular, you see places like US, there is a massive industry on the general aviation. So in the commercial part of aviation, the general aviation is a booming sector. So what is general aviation? So general aviation includes all non-scheduled, I said non-scheduling civil flight. I think I meant non-scheduled civil flying, both private and commercial. So every flying that is not scheduled is general aviation. And this may also include that same private aviation that I just talked about, because it's also not scheduled. It's also a kind of wing under general aviation, but this time nobody's paying anybody, so that's just the difference. But under general aviation, when you have things like air charter is part of general aviation. Business flights is part of general aviation. That is where most times you can also find your what's it called? Some your private jets too. We also have flight training. It's part of general aviation. You use general aviation aircrafts for flight training. So they are usually small sized aircrafts, not above a certain weight. That's also one way to technically define general aviation. But layman, these aircrafts you use for flight training, aircraft used for ballooning, parachute, gliding, hand gliding. There are also foot launch power gliders. Is a kind of craft and is in the general aviation. We have air ambulance. We have crop dusting. And this picture on the screen here is an example of crop dusting. This is real. This is real, and this is in Nigeria itself. There are farms in national states that I'm sure of. I can't say for other states, but national state I'm sure of. They do crop dusting. This is literally a thing even in Nigeria, over the world, in large farm areas. There's what we call crop dusting. And you have aircrafts that do that. That's the fastest way to dust your crop. And also, when we say crop dusting, it doesn't mean to literally dust. It's to apply fertilizers, to spray insecticides and all those stuffs on your crops. So this is a thing, and this is a major thing also in general aviation. This is one of the biggest part of general aviation. And I also pray to see this adopted so much in Nigeria. So it has started already. So also we have track reporting in general aviation. We use general aviation aircraft for traffic reporting. General aviation could also be with helicopters, small choppers. You also use it for police air patrol. I'll call this also for surveillance. The police is not in the military, right? So these are real things that also happen in Nigeria. In Nigeria, we have this police air patrol, especially in cities like Abuja, majorly Abuja, then Lagos too, but most importantly Abuja. Police air patrol is a thing, and it's part of the general aviation. Also in general aviation, we also have forests, firefighting. Countries like Australia that do have fire outbreaks, they use general aviation aircraft for firefighting. So you wonder how a forest in Australia, you would wonder how a truck would want to quench such fire. No, they use aircrafts. So this is another thing about aviation. Okay, so the other section of commercial aviation is the scheduled aviation. So the scheduled airline is a company that provides air transport services for traveling passengers and cargo. Right, generally, aviation companies are recognized. Okay, before I go there, so what makes it a scheduled airline under the commercial aviation is the fact that they provide air transport services for traveling passengers and cargo. So I think the part of aviation almost everybody knows. So you can just that just one subsection of even the commercial aviation, which is also a section under the category of the two types of aviation. So you can see that we are only and open to just 1/4 of even the industry as a whole. So, and this is what everybody seems to know. But though it is the most lucrative part of aviation, actually. So, they provide air transport services for traveling passengers and cargo. We say generally aviation companies are recognized with an air operating certificate or license issued by governmental aviation bodies. So before an airline become a scheduled airline and go into commercial operation, certificate called air operating certificate has to be issued by that particular nation's aviation body. So there are regulators who give these certificates. Without the certificate, you can't just wake up and say you have billions and you just want to start an airline. It doesn't work that way. There are, in fact, a lot of phases. You go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5 before you can even get your air operating certificate. Those 5 phases might take a year. I'm giving Nigeria context. It can take months. So it doesn't just have the idea and just start immediately, even with your money. It takes process because, like I said, it's safest means of transportation. So due process has to be followed, and this is the major part of our vision where due process is really followed because it is a commercial section. This deals with people's lives and people's properties. So it is strictly regulated. So you just don't wake up and start an airline. So okay, we have passenger airlines and we have cargo airlines. So for those that don't know, we also have airlines and aircrafts that do not carry passengers, they just carry goods. We have DHL has aircrafts like in Lagos, at least I don't know about a day, but almost 3 days I can count up to 5 DHL aircrafts that lands in Lagos. So there's a thing about cargo airline, and that's not the only cargo airline. We have local cargo airlines also. So this is another aspect of commercial aviation that people don't know. So scheduled passenger airline can be further classified into international airline, domestic airline, and regional commuters. So we have international airlines. That's another section of the commercial scheduled aviation. And we have domestic airlines and we have regional commuters. So some airlines only fly international routes. Airlines only fly domestic, which we call local routes. And some airlines only fly regional routes like West Africa, Ghana, Nigeria kind of routes. And some airlines run both international and local flights, while some run both international and regional, while some run domestic and regional, and some just run them individual. So I intentionally put this picture of this aircraft for that's part of the privilege you have been in this class. So this is a new airline. This is the latest airline in Nigeria right now. This is the latest airline in Nigeria right now, and it's called ValueJet. So this is a free ad for them. So they just got their air operating certificate 2 weeks ago, but they've been on since about actively on this getting their air operating certificate for about, I think after the COVID. So the COVID lockdown, they've been on the faces. So they've been flying already for about 3 months, but not commercially. So just for demo flights and the rest. So these are also part of the processes you have to pass through to show if you're even financially capable enough to run the airline. So they allow you burn, fuel, fly on your expense. So these ValueJets are in Nigeria now, and I think I'm not to be sure, but I think their route is towards southeast Lagos. So you can as well book them. These are airlines that you should take advantage of if you want to travel, because for now, they should be cheap. Thank you. Okay, so brief history of aviation. Like I said, the history of aviation helps us to appreciate and understand how aviation has evolved to its current type of development. If you don't know the history, you would not appreciate, and you will not see why there's so much regulations, and you will not see why there's so much professionalism, and you will not see why there is so much process if you understand how the journey has been. Because this is a journey of pain, it's a journey of bloodshed, it's a journey of resilience, it's a journey of brilliance, and most of what I call it a miracle. I call aviation a miracle. Yes. So for many centuries, man wanted to fly just like birds. Watching their feathered friends inspired them to make wings of feather or light wood which they attached to their arms to let to fly, but often with disastrous consequences. This really happened. I may not go so much into the details of history. I will try my best. Just focus on aviation awareness campaign. So, men literally tried to fly with real feathers, like birds, real feathers. They tried. There was this man. His name starts with D. Trying to remember. I learned. Is he D-A-E-S-A? He literally tried this. So there was this prison in the middle of the sea, just in the middle of the water body. Like if you remember if you watch medieval era movies, where we build high stone walls, and the walls of the city or whatever will be in the middle of nowhere. So this prison was in the middle of water body, and him and his son, he wanted to escape. So you can't climb the wall, but it's not really a closed prison per se, because it's a prison because it's in the middle of nowhere. And the only way to go out is to go above the wall, and it's not possible to climb the wall. So the man wanted to fly. So it's a desperate moment cause of potential measure, right? So he tried to use feather. He tried it. It took off, but the sun melted his aircraft, and he died. So lots of disastrous consequences because man tried to fly. Many people died trying to do this. So we're enjoying the blood of a lot of people. These are people, because people had to try to fly. It's not like the road, the motor car invention where we're just moving on the road. Maybe highest you hit something or you jump out. But people really fell from high places. So it took patience, perseverance, dedication, and some brilliant minds to help mankind take the skies. So, invent of kites by the Chinese 350 BC actually. So they were crazy. Chinese people have been crazy for time. So they tried inventing kites, but now kites look like a low value or no value thing to our society, but then it was a big deal. Also, scientific research by Leonardo da Vinci. So I believe this should be a popular name for those who watch movies. You have watched the Da Vinci's Demon. I had to watch the movie because of aviation. So I wanted to see about this man, Leonardo da Vinci. I actually even read a book, Leonardo da Vinci. The man is quite a very mystic man. In the movies, it really even portrayed him deeper than I thought. So this man is a scientist, one of the greatest scientists to ever grace this planet. And he was so way ahead beyond his time and contemporaries. So he was the first person per se that designed and did a research on something like a craft. And this picture was designed. Even now, to even build something as simple as this is still a little bit difficult. So imagine someone coming with a science from a no background information to just because he had a dream of flying. So he did a mathematical scientific calculation and came about this. And in the movie of Da Vinci's Demons, literally I saw a real architecture of this in the movie and how it worked. So then also in the 1780s by the Montgolfier brothers, they invented an hot air balloon. This was an aircraft. This is an aircraft. So an aircraft is anything that a craft that flies by air or that moves by air. So hot air balloon was actually a means of transportation. People literally took off a balloon. The balloon had combustion chambers and the rest that emit heat, more like more like a nitrogen gas, and filling of that's what inflates the balloon to keep the balloon inflated. And because the balloon is inflated, it's not so much and heavier than aircraft, so it can take off. So a source of power was that combustion. Okay, so in the 1780s, this was a thing. I believe in Nigeria, then we're still dancing to the gods and people were still banned in the forest. So you can see why we are so way backward. So also we have in the 19th century the invention of gliders by George Cayley and its improvements by Otto Lilienthal. This Otto Lilienthal was one that improved on the gliders invented by George